Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's we'll be doing a driving comparison with the new Ranger Raptor, the Ford Bronco Raptor, and the F-150 Raptor to see which Raptor is the best to drive when it comes to comfort, but also the most exciting to drive. And we'll also talk about the off-road capabilities of all these trucks so that you can make the best decision in terms of which Raptor you should buy if you are cross-shopping any of these. Before we get in the video, a huge shout out and thank you to the Carl Malone Ford here in Park City for giving me some time with all three of these Raptors. All three of them are available for sale, so link to their inventory in the description down below. Link to my car buying guide in the description down below as well. Let's get into it. Well, let's talk about visibility here in the F-150. Over the hood, you got the heads-up display, both the mirrors, and throw the rest through here. So, you know, traditional full-size pickup truck visibility. This is probably, I think, the coolest comparison I've done in a while, but it's a weird one. Because, you know, usually the comparisons, you know, 3 different brands or 2 different brands and, you know, basically same vehicle. But yeah, this with comparing, by the way, big vehicles, so not necessarily the best turning radius. Yeah, this with comparing a bunch of same type of vehicle, right? All Raptors, but then different versions. It's interesting, at least to me. So what we'll do here is pop it into, we'll just do sport mode for all 3 of them, not off-road mode, sport mode. There we go. And we'll just kind of see how the transmission and everything responds with all 3 of them. So very quick with the F-150 right off the bat. Gotta adjust this a little bit. There we go. Comfortable suspension, even in the sport setting here. That'll be an interesting distinction, is the suspension comfort with all 3 of them. This, in theory, should be the most comfortable. Longest wheelbase. And it is, I mean, it doesn't have the biggest tires out of this bunch, so second biggest tires, but 35s are still big enough. But yeah, the longer wheelbase, and it's got the more advanced shocks, or I shouldn't say more advanced, the bigger shocks rather. Ranger shocks are just as advanced, they're just not as big. Pretty well insulated cabin, so that's a positive. Yeah, it doesn't struggle to move. It'll be interesting to see the turning radius with all 3 of them up here too. I think that'll be a fun part of the comparison. I do like the sound of this V6. I think this will probably end up being the best sounding. And then it's, obviously if you get the Raptor R, that's the best sounding by far. Ooh, I guess we could test them through this little bloop. Yeah, we'll see which one has the best suspension compression through the little bump thing there. But okay, so with the F-150, gotta fight it a little bit. It's got some power. It has got some power. It's pretty quick. My theory is that this is going to be this and the Ranger Raptor are probably going to feel pretty similar. That's my theory. And then the Bronco Raptor is going to feel the slowest, but see if my theory comes to fruition. So overall, really comfortable, big interior, tons of space. That's what the F-150 Raptor is all about. Again, it's the OG Raptor, but when you look at what Ford has Raptorized several vehicles, when you're comparing these, this being a full-size pickup truck is the most, it doesn't have the highest payload. The Ranger has the highest payload, funny enough, but it's the most practical when it comes to space. So with this, you could easily use this as, you know, obviously an off-road vehicle, because that's what Raptors are all about, but you could use it as a family car. You can do some towing, some hauling to an extent. You're limited by payload, but family car plus off-road vehicle, plus it can do pickup truck stuff. So this has, you know, quite a bit of utility, I would say. Well, let's talk about visibility here in the Raptor. So over the hood, both the mirrors, throughout the rest of the rear. Feels less open than the F-150 Raptor, mostly because the cage in the back, but not too bad. Turning radius is definitely better. Look at this. I can literally just spin right around. I mean, I could have maybe done a little bit better on the F-150, but I'm always cautious. But still, yeah, you notice, again, 232 inches. I think that's what the F-150 is, and this is like 190, 191 inches. That is a huge difference in size. You're talking about over 2 feet in length difference between the vehicles. That's big. That's really big. So what you notice right off the bat is with the F-150, you hear more exhaust noise. This, you hear kind of more induction. You do hear quite a bit of exhaust too. It's a little bit different. Good torque. I don't feel like I'm down on power necessarily, but you can hear a lot more in this. I mean, I got more wind noise up above. It's not bad at all. It's definitely a rougher ride than the F-150. The F-150 was smoother than this, quite a bit. But this isn't bad. It's not uncomfortable by any means. It's interesting. This feels like it just wants to go. It's fun. Yeah, the ride quality difference is substantial. It's interesting because they both have the same shocks. Now again, if you get 37 package F-150, you got the new dual valve, live valve. But this just has, you know, the Bronco Raptor only has one set of shocks. Unlike the F-150, we can have multiple. See what compression's like going through this little... You know, it handles it just as well as the F-150. So I would say that compression is pretty similar. Again, turning radius, you're noticing a huge difference between them. It's not slow. It is not slow. But yeah, not as quick as the F-150. I'm gonna put it back in normal mode because this one's pretty low in fuel. Yeah, you notice it doesn't feel like it's got quite as much punch. But it sounds pretty cool when you're full throttle with this. So as expected, the shortest wheelbase vehicle so far. Doesn't drive as well as the longer wheelbase, the longest wheelbase vehicle out of this bunch. Seats are still comfortable, steering wheel is still nice. The shock damping is solid. What I can tell you from my own personal experience, off-road, the F-150 Raptor is far more stable than this. This has some stability issues off-road. I criticize people because I'd see people online like flip their Bronco Raptors, and I'm like, you're not a good driver. And then I've driven my Bronco Raptor because I own one off-road, and I've gone through things, and this doesn't have nearly as much stability. Again, it makes sense. It's over 2 feet shorter than the F-150. It's a shorter wheelbase too, so yeah, of course it's not going to be as stable. So with that being said, let's pop into the Ranger Raptor. Let's talk about visibility in the Ranger. There's visibility over the hood. Both the mirrors do have blind spotting. Or actually do that? Yeah, they do. And the rest of your... It's like, I'm pretty sure it's standard equipment, but I didn't see them. So this hypothetically should have the middle turning radius. It feels almost as tight as the Bronco Raptor. Weird. So drive modes. Ooh, the drive mode select on this is weird because it twists and then goes back in place. The steering on this is the best. It's got some solid weight to it. Feels really good. And I like the steering wheel the most out of with this one. Seats are comfortable. They're not cooled like the F-150 Raptor, but comfortable. It's weird, this is the same engine as the Bronco Raptor. Excuse me. Same engine. And it just feels torquier in this. But again, we've got 33s versus 37s. So yeah, of course, the same engine in a vehicle with bigger tires that weighs more, it's not going to feel quite as punchy. Interesting. So the F-150 is by far the most comfortable. There's, yeah, no arguing on that. I'm not sure if this is any more comfortable than the Bronco Raptor. I thought that it might be because a little bit longer wheelbase, but it has smaller tires. So you kind of feel what's happening in the road almost just as much as the Bronco Raptor. Wind insulation's a little bit better though, because it's not a block of cheese. So there is that. Drives well though. But yeah, this comparison's different than I expected with what I might think the results are. See how the suspension damping is with this one. It seems like it's pretty similar to the other two. Yeah, I feel like this turns just as tight as the Bronco Raptor. I don't know if it actually feels any quicker than the Bronco Raptor. Yeah, I don't know, it's not too different. Again, I do like the steering on this the most though. So I came into this, here was my kind of initial thought. I thought that I was going to pick the Ranger Raptor because it's the least expensive and it still does all the Raptor stuff. I thought I was going to pick this as number 1, F-150 as number 2, and then Bronco Raptor as number 3. That's not the conclusion I've come to. So here's how I rate them. First off, off-road capability. Bronco Raptor wins, Ranger Raptor, and then F-150 Raptor. It's kind of up in the air in terms of which one's number 2, because the F-150 Raptor has more ground clearance, bigger tires, but this is a smaller vehicle, can fit in tighter situations, so it's going to depend on the off-roading. But Bronco Raptor, it's got the best angles, so best in terms of overall off-roading. But again, like I said, the Bronco Raptor is not nearly as stable as the F-150. In terms of daily drivability, F-150 is the best. The Bronco Raptor is probably the second best. This is still very daily drivable. It's just cramped back seat, and it's not any more comfortable than the Bronco Raptor. I thought it would be more comfortable, but it's not, which is surprising. And then when it comes to fun factor, this definitely has the most like lightweight, tossable feel out of the Raptors because it's the smallest. It's not the shortest vehicle. Obviously, it's the second longest, but it's the lightest in terms of curb weight, and you do feel it when you drive it. So I think this is the most fun to drive on road. I'm not sure about the stability because this is a lot narrower than the other two. It's longer than the Bronco Raptor, so I imagine the stability on this might be similar to the Bronco Raptor because it has less width but then more length. So then it loses the width stability, but then it gains the length stability that the Bronco Raptor doesn't have. So overall ranking: F-150, Ranger, Bronco Raptor. The Bronco Raptor was not so expensive, it would have a higher rating, but it's so darn expensive. So yeah, F-150 F-150, Ranger, Bronco Raptor, in that order. Let me know which order you would do.